So hello, I'm Matt Roberts. I'm the Director of Marketing for Big Data and Strategic Innovations at Amdocs. Today I'm here to talk about Amdocs' new strategy and portfolio with regards to big data in the telecommunications space. I'm going to talk to you, I'm not going to try and stick too religiously to the slides, but I'm going to talk to you about what we're doing at Amdocs in relation to big data now. For those of you that don't know Amdocs, we serve most of the service providers across the globe. We focus on customer experience systems, whether it's OSS, BSS. We've made some recent acquisitions to move into the network space with Amdocs and Cellsite. And we also have a number of different areas such as connected home, mobile financial services as well. So it's a big week for us at Amdocs this week. I don't know how many. Oh no, let's see how good our press team is. How many of you saw our press announcement yesterday? Okay, right. I'm just going to go make a phone call. But yeah, we put out press yesterday announcing what we're doing in or how we're enhancing our strategy in big data. We're not new to big data initiatives. We have a number of solutions from our customer management team called Proactive Care, from our revenue management team, Terascale, and we have a services and consultancy business that has been delivering BI and data warehouse projects for our customers. So what are we doing? Well, here's some of the hype terms, or they're not hype terms, they're real terms. We've talked about it this morning. Everybody's talking about big data. I think, you know, as Mark said at the beginning of his presentation, attitudes within telecommunications are starting to change with regards to big data. Everybody's starting to get on board. I think at MWC this year, which is always a litmus test of where things are heading, to have the CEO of IBM, Ginny Rometty, get up on stage and deliver a keynote and talk specifically about big data in relation to telecommunications, I think was quite amazing. So we see the facts and figures from Gartner, from GE Healthcare, from Merrill Lynch, etc. And we all know, that's why we're here today, that big data is at the top of the agenda. So what's our vision? What are we doing? Well, you know, we plan to provide telecommunications specific big data and analytics systems. I think this is an important point, is that we are focused primarily on telecommunications. We have a huge heritage in customer experience systems. In fact, our systems are generating some of the most important data for the service provider community out there, whether it's billing data, customer management data, inventory data from the OSS, or network data. We want to embed intelligent analytics as part of our CES suite. So it's there, it's baked in. Again, I think that's a key differentiator for us. The telecommunication, and I will talk about it a little bit more about why it's so important, but the whole end-to-end piece. From the creation of the data, the ingestion of the data, the aggregation, correlation, to plugging in the actionable applications, and then closing the loop in real time. So let's move forward. So this is what I talked about here. We believe that, you know, some of the most important data to service providers, you can see the network data, very important, big orange bubble, BSS, external data, whether it's unstructured data like social media data, geolocation, etc. And you can see we've put it on an axis. How valuable is that data versus how hard or easy it is to extract. And we believe this is sort of the typical scenario that you see right now. And as we get to the end of my presentation, what I'll show is how we can move some of those parameters to the right and up based on the solutions we're delivering. But again, I don't want this to be too much of a sales pitch, and I don't want to stand here banging the drum about how great Amdocs is. So the complexity behind the simplicity, from the data, the insight, the action, and the business value. So I think one of the things we're looking at is ultimately not building infrastructure for the sake of infrastructure. You know, what are the business problems we're addressing, and what is the business value that we're trying to strive for our customers. So there's 3 areas of our announcement yesterday. It's a new analytics platform called Insight, a suite of telco-grade analytical applications, and I'll talk about them in more detail, that cover the different buying personas or silo groups within a service provider organization, and also a new concept that we call data science as a service. George talked about it in his presentation this morning, that was it 72% of people surveyed are worried about having the right quality of people to take their analytics forward. Now, Amdocs is a product-led services business, and we have a team of data scientists and a successful consultancy practice, but I'll talk about that in a little bit more detail shortly. So what is our platform? Let's look at this from the bottom up. And we talk about how we're positioned, how our systems are generating the data, so we can, whether it's from the RAN, from our Actix or cell site acquisition, or we put probes into the network, whether it's inventory data from our OSS division, whether it's the usage and charging data from our revenue management. So we provide billing systems for a large part of the world's telecommunications company. CRM and profiles, we can pull that data into the platform. We have a large CM practice. And also, as an example, social media data or unstructured data. So we also have a solution called Social Care, where we can pull out of the unstructured social care data world trends and things that are happening related to the customer experience and act on them proactively. So we can take that data, intelligently connect it to our platform in real time with real-time streaming connectors. An example of that is our Terascale solution from revenue management, where we can pull in charging data and usage data. We then can take that data and make it applications ready. We have a unique data model specific for the telecommunications market. So we can aggregate, correlate information from those different sources into a meaningful data model. We can then apply the visualization, the segmentation tools, and the decisioning engines. And then we plug in, and this is the second part that I'll talk about in more detail, purpose-made telecommunications analytical applications to solve specific business needs, whether they come from customer care, marketing, internal operations optimization. Jean-Marie from Orange talked about 90% of what they're doing is about internal business optimization. Network, we have applications that can optimize the network or link network quality to customer value. So the areas that you can target for network optimization based on how much revenue is being derived from particular geolocation areas. And revenue optimization, so the fact that we have the charging data and we can look at the appropriate price plans. There is another category, data monetization. It was touched on this morning as well, where service providers can take their customer data and resell it to a third party or anything, but we're not focused on that at Amdocs. It's those categories that we're addressing. So in summary, we collect, ingest, transform, enrich, we can aggregate, correlate, we have machine learning, we drive insight from that, and we can close the loop in real time. And when I mean close the loop, it's our systems generating the data. So we can take real-time, actionable actions from those data sources. I won't talk about that too much. It's a bit. So this is our logical data model. This is where we take the data from all those sources and we aggregate it into the categories that are appropriate for service providers, whether that's sales and marketing, customer services, accounts, customer and subscriber, location. And again, we have that domain. I think one of the things I hear the most of, fundamental issues, is what is the right data? How do we get the right data? And I think at Amdocs we have that data intimacy, the ability to extract the data and put it in the right categories. If what's behind those boxes would look something like this, You have all these number of variables coming in from these data sources, and like I said, our platform, based on this logical data model, can sort it specifically for telecommunications analytics. So what can it do? What are some examples? You can have an enriched customer profile. You can understand your customer better than ever before based on these multitudes of real-time big data that we can pull in. That's important from a customer care perspective, for improving the Net Promoter Score. From a marketing team perspective, the ability to drive more efficient marketing campaigns. I'll talk about that in a short while. The ability, like I said, to optimize your network based on where your important customer is. All customers are equal, right? But some customers are more important than others. An example that of a solution we did, or we announced rather at the end of last year, is intelligent Wi-Fi offload. So we know that many service providers, there's a data explosion, there's a data crunch, they're building out Wi-Fi to complement their already overburdened cellular networks. And if you look at AT&T in the United States, they have a very binary model. They have wireless Wi-Fi throughout Starbucks and a number of different places in the US. But what happens if you're an AT&T customer is, when you come into those hotspot areas, you'll just be dumped into that Wi-Fi regardless, even if the quality of service is inferior to the cellular network. There's no intelligent decisioning. Our SmartNet solution looks at a number of different customer variables based on making that decision, whether it's the quality of network, the profile of the customer. So for example, if a customer is not a heavy data user, then why push him into Wi-Fi? He's happy with the cellular network. You can load balance and use those intelligent analytics from those different variables to drive a better customer experience and optimize your network. So that's our SmartNet solution as an example. So let's talk about sort of the three areas of what we're offering. And the first one is data science as a service. And again, this talks about, what was interesting is I had dinner last night with Professor David Crawford from the University of Essex. They've established an MSc course in big data analytics now at the University of Essex. We had a really good conversation. We see a number of other institutes cropping up. I know the University of Reading has a big data team now as part of their mathematics and statistics department. But there is indeed a deficit of data scientists in the marketplace. We're quite happy at Amdocs. We made an acquisition of Changing Worlds a number of years ago where we pulled in a number of data scientists in Dublin. We also have a number in Israel as well. But the key to this particular piece is, what is a data scientist? How, is a data scientist just a generic, vanilla kind of person that you could throw at any analytics problem? And we think not. You look at the number of industries now adopting big data, and everyone is unique. In many respects, big data was made for telecommunications, and we have lagged behind. But I don't think a data scientist from the financial world can be just pushed straight into healthcare or telecommunications or indeed any other industry. So what we have is a team of data science gurus, we call them there. And please check out amdocs.com. We've just put a product movie up there where we paint our data scientists as pretty cool characters. They're a little bit funky. I don't know if that's the case, but anyway. So what we do is, this notion is we combine a data scientist with a domain expert, whether they're from our network team, our billing team, our marketing area. So we create this pod concept. So we offer data scientists as a service to the service providers. So where you talk about, where George mentioned 72% that they don't have the right quality of staff in place, Amdocs is a product-led consultancy company. We can give this concept, this service to service providers to solve specific business needs, because each service provider has different problems or different things that can be solved with big data. So, and these guys can create ad hoc use cases, implementation services, data health checks, etc. So that's our data science as a service piece, and again, talking to Professor David Crawford last night, and we discussed this idea, they're breaking up their MSc in data science to focus on separate industry verticals. And if you look at what a lot of our competitors are doing, whether it's IBM or SAS, they're cross-industry. The uniqueness for Amdocs is we're focused predominantly on the service provider industry, and we have the domain expertise and the systems already generating large amounts of data. Let's talk about some of the applications. I mentioned SmartNet before. Another one that is already in the market is proactive care. And proactive care is a customer management tool where, using analytics, we can preempt when a customer will make that call, that inbound call, into a call center. So we look at a number of different variables, whether it's the network, their billing, etc. So we can take proactive action before that costly inbound call comes into the service provider call center, whether it's an SMS, whether it's sending them a discount or extra amounts of data on their plan. So we have a number of customer care off-the-shelf applications to improve Net Promoter Score. And again, if you look at that, again, we talk about service providers, how are they structured to support big data when the CDO is still very mythical. I haven't come across one yet, and it's still being done, by those individual buying towers. But the customer care, we're targeting obviously the customer care organization. Marketing, again, it's been mentioned this morning, the importance of what big data can do for marketing in a service provider's business. We have, actually, if you look at proactive care, think of that in the reverse fashion. If you can proactively know or anticipate when your customer is having a bad experience and act in a way to ensure that you deal with that before any harm is done, you could apply that to marketing. Because if that customer is having a bad time, or you know that they could potentially have a bad time, then from a marketing perspective, that's precisely the wrong time to try and target them with a new upsell offer or phone them up, because you're not a very happy person and you're very unlikely to accept that offer. But other things we can do, and we have in our armory from a marketing perspective, is micro-segmentation. And the ability for a marketing department, and I was at Vodafone Group Marketing, but the almost crystal ball, if you will, to break down your customer base and really know who are the targets for that marketing campaign. So, for example, Vodafone did a new Netflix package this week, price plan. Now, if you're going to push that out, right, and Vodafone UK has, 15 million subscribers, how many of them are susceptible to that marketing campaign? 2 million? 3 million? Either way, it's a big expenditure for a marketing department. If you can really zone in on who's susceptible or who's likely to take that offer up, you can reduce your marketing cost as part of that campaign. That's one thing. Secondly, you're not pestering customers on offers that they're unlikely to take. How many of us get spammed, cold called, take this, I'm not interested. But if it's an offer you're interested in, you're in business. So that's marketing. And of course, it's self-learning, it's machine learning. If you do a campaign, you know the customers that have taken up that offer. You can apply those characteristics to your customer base and really sharpen up your marketing tools. Network, again, network optimization, mapping network to customer value, and operation optimization. We have order to activation, where we can anticipate, when a customer places their order, if that order for whatever reason could potentially fall out, and proactively act on it to keep it alive. I'm running short on time, aren't I? I've already talked about proactive customer care. I've already talked about optimizing the network. Again, we talked about this before, but we provide everything from data management and modernization to support the transformation from a data warehouse environment through to a data lake environment and beyond. And we already have that expertise in-house. We have data scientists all over the world. We're very proud of these guys. In fact, if my daughters were about to go to university, I think with what I've seen in the last few months, I'd be sending them to the University of Essex to do an MSc in data science. It's that sought after. But I've got about 18 years to wait, so that's probably not going to happen either. And so why are we different? We understand the data, we have the data intimacy and availability, we know the trash in, trash out problems in the service provider base, we have ready to use connectors, we have the right data in the right business context. I've talked about the suite of applications and how that crosses the different areas of a service provider business, and we can close the loop in real time, provide real-time actionable insights based on the data we're collating. And in summary, so we can take that over there and make life a whole lot better for everybody in the service providers as far as solving some of the issues or barriers that they have to successful adoption right now. That's basically our proposition. We can see the data, think about, aggregate it, correlate it in our data model, and act on it in real time to drive real business value. And in summary, I think I've already talked about that, but we have a deep understanding of telecommunications. That's our focus. A platform designed for telecommunications, a broad array of applications. I've already talked about them, many of them. We can close the loop, and we have leading data scientists in practice. So I whizzed through that really quickly. I hope it didn't come across as too much of a sales pitch, but this is a really interesting time for us right now. We're really excited. I'm sleeping, dreaming, eating big data. It's keeping me up all night if it's not my 3-month-old baby. So any questions, I'll take them later on, and please visit amdocs.com. We've got a whole Shark Week of big data content available for everybody this week. So I hope that was beneficial. Okay.